Now, presumably from this screenshot here, you should be able to tell that I'm a fan of anime and manga. It stems all the way back to my childhood, and today's focus on the video will be just me discussing anime. So, yeah, hopefully you'll stick around. I'm just going to go over some stuff from my childhood that I enjoyed to my experiences with it for growing up. So, yeah, let's get into it. So, my anime, completely forgot what I was saying there, my bad. But yeah, my anime experience actually starts from when I was a child, back in the 2000s. It was, well, to put it simply, I didn't know it as anime at the time. I just thought it was cartoons on one of the old networks. I It was just after Pop, I want to say, one of those old channels that probably don't exist anymore. But yeah, it was old reruns of shows like Rurouni Kenshin, Cowboy Bebop, you had your Dragon Ball Z 2. I have far too many memories of Dragon Ball Z because of my cousins, specifically Kamehameha in my stomach, which was fun. No, it really wasn't, but I'm going to say it was to hide the pain. But yeah, so that was my experience back in the 2000s, and I, well, it's fair to say I was pretty hooked on it. Other than shows like the animated series of Batman and Spider-Man, specifically the 90s, because, well, that's what I grew up with. So yeah, yeah, getting to see those shows, hooked in with those, I was already pretty into animation. And then one of the shows that I really got hooked into when I was younger would have been Yu-Gi-Oh! Simply because, well, it's a game, and that's one of my other biggest hobbies, so to speak. And, well, it was just stuff like this that gets you hooked on it. But there was a time when I just sort of lost interest in all that. Gaming took over. I became a bigger fan of horror, and well, this is just going into the 2010s. I wasn't even aware of Full Metal Alchemist, to give you an idea of how early this was when my interest started waning. But yeah, the internet wasn't, well, it wasn't as easily accessible as what it is now. there was there was no 4G. I don't even know if there was a 3G. But yeah, that's how long ago this was. And, well, my interest waned, and the show that actually got me back into it was just in time for high school, was Tokyo Ghoul. And now I say high school. High school in the UK is different from high school in America. So it's pretty much, think of it like middle school, but in the UK it's high school. So yeah, that was what, 2013 when I finally started getting back into it, and it was because of Tokyo Ghoul. Tokyo Ghoul presented this sort of horror aesthetic with like psychological elements. Obviously Ken Kaneki, his mind gets screwed over a lot in the first season, and like his progression to what he becomes is insane. But we're not going to talk about Route or Tokuguri the anime, because what happened to that series was a travesty. But yeah, it was shows like that that got me back into anime, along with shows like Fate Zero. Fate Zero was phenomenal, and definitely made me a Fate head, and I will not apologise for that. Fate is phenomenal. I even, well, I'm not going to lie and say I like the Studio Dean adaptation, but I tolerate the Studio Dean adaptation. So hopefully you get the point. But yeah, um, other than that, I wound up watching shows I missed out on, mainly Full Metal Alchemist, because wow, that show was good, very good. Big fan of Ed. very, very much enjoyed Colonel Mustang. Almost called him Colonel Mustard there, but I'm just gonna ignore my brain being stupid. But yeah, this is also just a bit random, but I'm a big fan of anyone with fire abilities, aside from Natsu from Fairy Tail, because Fairy Tail sucks ass. uh, I'm sorry, I had to go there. I just had to. It's a joke. It's a joke. But yeah, other stuff that I caught up on was actually Akira, and oh my god, Akira! What a film! Just absolutely insane. The animation quality, even to this day, it's still amazing to think that that was made in '88. Absolutely phenomenal. But like I said, going into high school, this was at a time when anime and manga and comics in general, like you would still be looked down upon. You know, for it, you there was bullying in a sense. I didn't necessarily go through it, mainly because, well, I didn't really have anyone to talk about it until later on because I never knew people were into it. You know, it was sort of a don't talk about it so you can't get shafted for it, pretty much. But I never talked about it just because there was nobody else talking about it aside from some of my friends, but they were only really into comics and thought anime was weird. I was like, well, if they're not going to enjoy it, there's no point in me trying to discuss it with them, which did suck, but along came some shows to change perception. Now, many people have obviously seen stuff to bring them into anime, and at the time, I want to say one of the biggest is obviously Naruto, and I have to give props to it for the amount of people it's brought in. You know, Bleach too, One Piece as well. One Piece is the best out of those. Naruto is mid. It's not actually mid. It's pretty good, but it's not as good as One Piece or Bleach. I will die on this hill. But yeah, a lot of people give credits to shows like that, but a lot of people need to realize that shows like My Hero Academia have brought a huge wave. Obviously, it goes even further than that with Demon Slayer and stuff, just bringing in an absolute insane amount of fans over. But we need to give credit where it's due for shows that sort of opened up to the mainstream. Obviously, one of the biggest reasons that it was a hit was because, well, Marvel specifically, because DC was still trying to figure out how to make a movie at this point after failing. But Marvel was becoming a juggernaut in the film industry. Can't be said the same for their comics because their comics have just been getting worse and worse. Shots fired, I know. But what better way to get people into it than a superhero themed anime / manga? And it done a phenomenal job. It brought a lot of new people over, brought a lot of people to try new stuff. Um, Weirdly enough, this is a bit random, but it's weird seeing people go from talking about like what would there be now in like 2016, like Love Island, I want to say, like stuff like that. People maybe be talking about Peaky Blinders as well. Then going to talk about Naruto, I had someone talk to me about Black Butler, which was just wild, and Black Bullet too, which is weird because those are both more underground nowadays and kind of forgotten, which is a shame. And I'm not going to forgive the author of the light novel for cancelling Black Bullet because that was devastating for me. That it was so good. I'm so disappointed, but we're not even going to get into that. But yeah, you had stuff like this happening throughout that would bring people in, and then it just opens up more and more discussions. Sadly, my best friend, until I want to say last year or was it the year before, I'm not too sure, but I'll figure it out. It was one of those years that only got into it, but I'm going to continue along this slight path of just going over stuff briefly. But yeah, so we're at My Hero Academia. Oh, we've glossed over Assassination Classroom, which, whilst very under-regarded nowadays, it did actually bring over a lot of people just because it was very much, well, obviously a shonen title, but it was a very trying to think light-hearted until obviously the later episodes and that. But It's a very easy merger, so to speak, to get into it. And then you had other shows at the time coming out forward and on to 2017, like Black Clover, bringing people in, which was insane. You know, I'm trying to think. Other than that, because I'm trying to think outside of the mainstream shows, what else could have came in, bring more people in. Oh wow, I'm actually forgetting Demon Slayer. Demon Slayer brought people in, but it isn't. It wasn't from the start like a lot of people want to make it seem like it was. It was only for episode 19. Cause like let's be honest, right? Outside of Mappa, not Mappa. Wow, my brain's in the gutter. Outside of Ufotable, does anyone else really believe that Demon Slayer would have done as well as it has? Because let's be honest, its story isn't anything special. Don't get me wrong, there are some very cool aspects of it. I'm very much a fan of the pillars, especially Sanemi. He's the best pillar in my opinion, followed by Tengen, then Igoro. So it's not like it's a bad story, but it's definitely carried by its studio rather than its story. I mean, the pillars are cool, as I've previously stated. The upper moons are hecka cool. Kokushibo, Dama especially. Those two are just phenomenal. I'm a big fan of Kaza, but those two especially. I know a lot of people hate Dama for some reason, but we're not even going to discuss that. But yeah, now I've went off topic as to what I was going to, but we're just going to continue talking about it because it is just wild to see how it's changed. Because from well, for the 2000s to what it is now, it has definitely had an evolution. You know, like I said, I went from watching old shows like Rurouni Kenshin, Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, stuff like that, Bakugan, Battle Brawlers, Beyblade. You go from watching stuff like that to what it is now, which is just madness. You have shows like Violet Evergarden, something I never thought I'd check out until I did check it out, and then I was like, this is very sad, but it won't get me to cry. And then I went through most of it holding back tears, and then watched the last movie, and then cried because it was so beautiful. It's so good. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes through anime that you wouldn't suspect that you'd like. I never thought I'd like something like Violet Evergarden or Fruits Baskets. Heck, I never thought I'd be into those types of stories. I never thought I'd be into Erased either. Don't get me wrong, the manga is better, but this actually wait, is it? I think I'm incorrect. It's a light novel series, right? But yeah, it's better. Either way, it's better. I'll probably add in a correction. I probably won't actually because I'm lazy. But yeah, it is better than what happened with the show. I actually really underrated series is Wonder Egg Priority. Again, it got screwed over with runtime, but it's pretty good. I want to say Skate the Infinity 2 was pretty good. That main theme slaps, okay. Paradise is so good. But yeah, overall my experience with anime is pretty awesome. Obviously, like I said, my friend finally got into it, my best friend, and we've been having discussions. I've been trying to recommend him shows to watch, and he's watching them ever so slowly. And well, me and my other friend are waiting until we can get a chance to sit him down and just put him through the trauma of Neon Genesis Evangelion, because it's because we're evil people, and I might make that a video if I can, but yeah, just wanting to talk about that. But it's had an amazing effect on my life, more than I thought it ever would. Same with manga, but yeah, it's affected me as much as right. I watched Sailor Moon when I was younger, but I wasn't really into it. Not particularly a big fan of shoujos. But then my younger cousin was like, this is when the new series came out, like the 2014-2015 series. They were
quite young, and well, I had to babysit, and I never got paid for it, and I'm very upset. No, I'm joking. I offered the date for free anyway, but yeah, I remember sitting down watching the old show for like the 90s, and then the new stuff, and I'm just like, this this isn't it. To eventually, getting pumped up watching it, and yeah, it's you don't expect it to happen, but it happens. There are obviously stinkers in anime. You know, I've watched Berserk be massacred, and it hurts. I I've put myself through some stuff. Put myself through Boku no Pico. That's. I wish that was a joke, but yeah, there's some. You know, obviously we've talked about Tokyo Ghoul Re and Route A being just horrible, or well, Route A is just horrible for no reason. Re got massacred. I've realised I went quiet, but I'm trying to think of other really bad shows that I can just complain about. Give me a second. Oh yeah, this one's got to get me in trouble. But I thought Kill la Kill was pretty bad. I know everyone's like, oh, but it's so good. Yeah, no, I wasn't a fan of it. I thought it was pretty bad. Um, Guilty pleasures, Kiss This. We're not even going to talk about that. Uh, oh, well, actually, I'm not going to go over like some of the bad stuff we like Beyblade and that, because some series are just absolutely horrible. Oh, Seven Deadly Sins. That's a good one to go for getting massacred. Even if it hurts to talk about what happened to that show. It was going so well, and then it just got butchered, and it hurts me. It hurts me as a fan. Well, I mean, One Punch Man season two wasn't bad. It just wasn't as good as the first season, so that doesn't count. I wouldn't even go over Yami Shimbai, just because, well, they're short stories and overall they're not particularly great, but they're not particularly bad. Fireworks. Yeah, that was a movie I checked out, and wow, I wish I didn't. It was just, it's not bad, but it's not good, but it's not good enough to not be not bad. You get me? Words. Am I right? Yeah. But well, as I've said, anime's been a big part of my life. Influenced me quite a bit with what I read, what I actually have tried to write and stuff. You know, if I'm thinking about just stories and that come into my head, it's always through like a anime format. You know, whenever I've drawn stuff, it's always somewhat inspired by manga artists and that. And it's insane just how much it's shaped a lot of my interests, I guess I want to say. So yeah, this has just been a brief discussion of what anime has done for me. There's going to be a manga version that might be as long, might be not as long, but hopefully it'll be a back to back. Anyway, hopefully you'll consider subscribing to the channel, leaving a like, all that jazz. Don't leave a comment because I don't care about what you've got. Nah, I'm joking. I do. I'm very much reliant on praise. Please praise me. Nah, I'm joking. Anyway, I have been Mark. Thanks for watching. Sayonara.